After dramatic plunges amid President Trump's trade war, the market's bouncing back Tuesday.
Every sector closing firmly in the green.
When Elon Musk backed Donald Trump's 2024 campaign with more than $250 million, it was one of the biggest business politics deals we've ever seen. Musk's money gave Trump extra firepower, while Musk hoped to gain direct access to the White House, maybe even shape policies that help Tesla, SpaceX, and his other ventures. At first, it seemed like a win-win. Trump got cash and tech know-how, and Musk got influence. But now that relationship is falling apart. Recently, Musk showed up uninvited at a cabinet meeting, angering Trump's advisors. Why is Musk so eager to weigh in? In addition to the $250 million, he allegedly gave another $100 million for a Tesla-themed favor. Musk clearly believes cash equals clout. He even landed a 130-day government post, nicknamed DOEJ, that runs out in May. When his term ends, we may see both sides start leaking private arguments or bad-mouthing each other. With two big egos like these, chaos seems inevitable. Less than 100 days into Trump's second term, their partnership looks broken. Musk is realizing that even hundreds of millions can't guarantee real power, and Trump's team is tired of a donor who thinks he can call the shots. Political analysts and psychological experts have noted that both Trump and Musk share certain personality traits that make their partnership inherently unstable. Both men are described as malignant narcissists. This shows why they can't work well together. Trump, throughout his business and political career, has demonstrated an unwillingness to share the spotlight or credit with others. His governance style is centered on personal loyalty and public deference. Musk, meanwhile, has built his public persona around being the visionary leader behind multiple revolutionary companies, accustomed to being the ultimate decision-maker and receiving acclaim for his ideas. When two individuals with such traits attempt to work together, conflict is almost inevitable. Neither is psychologically equipped to play a supporting role or defer to the other's judgment consistently. As Musk attempts to expand his influence within the administration, he inevitably encroaches on what Trump considers his exclusive domain: presidential authority and public attention. The dynamics of their relationship are further complicated by their respective bases of power. Trump, as president, holds constitutional authority and the loyalty of millions of voters. Musk, as one of the world's wealthiest individuals, controls vast corporate resources and has cultivated his own substantial following. Neither man is accustomed to being the junior partner in any relationship, creating a tension that appears increasingly difficult to sustain. As Musk and Trump's relationship breaks down, the Trump administration is also facing growing economic problems. These issues are starting to hurt both Trump's political popularity and America's role in the global economy. When Trump returned to office, he promised to bring back U.S. manufacturing, lower inflation, and make the U.S. stronger in global trade. But his main strategy, using heavy tariffs on imports, is now causing economic trouble at home. Trump's approval ratings show how public support is fading. In early February, he had a net approval of +6 points. By late February, that dropped to +2. In March, approval and disapproval were even. By late April, his net rating had fallen to -6, a 12-point drop in just under 3 months. This slide seems tied to the effects of his tariff policies. Even in his best polls, most Americans disapprove of how he's handling the economy. In one recent survey, only 44% said they approved of his economic leadership. That raises questions about who still supports his approach, whether it's industries that benefit from tariffs, loyal supporters who back him no matter what, or people who haven't been hurt yet by the policies. Trump's main economic strategy has been placing high tariffs on imported goods, especially from China. April 2nd was supposed to be Liberation Day, when many of these new tariffs would start. But the reaction from financial markets was quick and negative. Stock prices fell sharply, as investors worried about rising costs for consumers and retaliation from other countries. In response, the Trump administration announced last-minute exemptions for some products like phones, computers, and semiconductor chips. This would have helped tech companies like Apple, whose CEO Tim Cook attended Trump's inauguration. But just a few days later, Trump changed his mind again, saying, "Those days are over," and hinting the exemptions would be removed after all. This back and forth has created major uncertainty for businesses and investors. It's hard for companies to plan ahead when major rules can change overnight. International partners have also started to question whether the U.S. is a stable and trustworthy economic leader. Even former Vice President Kamala Harris called Trump a laughingstock, a comment that some global observers now agree with. These tariff policies may end up hurting the very people who helped elect Trump: blue-collar workers, professionals outside of finance, and low-income shoppers. While the administration keeps pushing an America First message, the actual economic effects don't seem to match the promises. Perhaps most concerning for the administration is China's measured strategic response to Trump's tariff aggression, rather than engaging in an immediately visible tit-for-tat exchange that might provide Trump with the confrontational narrative he prefers. President Xi Jinping appears to be executing a more sophisticated long-term strategy. When Trump tried to call Xi to start direct talks, China didn't even answer. That silence sent a strong message. Xi believes he has the upper hand. Unlike Trump, who has to worry about voters and how markets are reacting, Xi doesn't face the same kind of political pressure and can afford to play the long game. China's economic response has been smart and subtle. Instead of slapping tariffs on U.S. goods, they've started selling off about $50 billion in U.S. Treasury bonds and are buying more European ones instead. That's a big deal because the U.S. relies on countries like China to buy its debt. If fewer countries buy U.S. bonds, interest rates could rise, making it more expensive for the government to borrow money. Japan is reportedly doing the same thing, and if more countries follow, it could seriously hurt the U.S. economy. This kind of financial move is harder for Trump to rally against because it's not visible like tariffs. But it hits a critical weak spot and shows that China knows how to use its power carefully and effectively. Meanwhile, there's a major contradiction in Trump's America First message. While the administration promotes buying American and criticizes companies that make products overseas, many Trump-branded items are made abroad. At the Trump store inside his D.C. hotel, for example, you can find bomber jackets made in China, mugs made in China but designed in Oregon, and Stanley cups also labeled as made in China. Some of the made in China tags are even covered by price stickers. Other items come from Bangladesh and Vietnam, the very places Trump has often criticized for taking American jobs. This double standard weakens the administration's message. It suggests that America First may be more of a political slogan than a real policy that's applied consistently. For supporters who believe strongly in American-made goods, this gap between words and actions could eventually lead to disappointment and loss of trust. The way the Trump administration handles disaster relief gives more insight into how it makes decisions. California Governor Gavin Newsom recently said that during the wildfire season, Trump didn't want to send federal help to California because the state didn't vote for him. Newsom said Trump's aides had to step in, and he had to personally call Trump to finally get the help. This kind of decision-making seems to be continuing. After Hurricane Helen hit North Carolina, the state asked for more time to get FEMA disaster aid, but the administration said no, even though North Carolina voted for Trump 3 times and he had promised help during his campaign. Now that the election is over, that promise seems forgotten. These examples show a pattern where help is given, or not given, based on politics, not need. That raises serious questions about whether the government is serving all Americans fairly, or just rewarding political allies. At the same time, other countries are starting to change how they deal with the U.S. because of Trump's aggressive trade policies. Many world leaders are working together to protect their economies from America's unpredictable moves. They're forming new trade relationships and financial systems that don't rely on U.S. markets or the U.S. dollar as much. China selling U.S. Treasury bonds is just one part of this trend. In Europe, countries are creating new ways to move money without using U.S. banks. Some countries are making deals to trade using their own currencies instead of the dollar. If this keeps happening, the US dollar could lose its special role as the world's main currency, something that has helped the US economy for a long time. Trump's team keeps telling him that every country wants to make deals with the US, but that doesn't match what's really happening. Many world leaders seem to be quietly avoiding the administration, building new systems so they don't have to depend on America. This shift could become one of the biggest long-term problems from Trump's current policies. Tariffs and trade fights might win short-term points at home, but if other countries stop relying on the U.S. economy, the damage could last far beyond Trump's time in office. As Elon Musk's 130-day role in the Trump administration ends in May, it's unclear what comes next. Tensions have already surfaced, and both men have strong personalities that make continued cooperation difficult. Musk may keep influencing policy informally, but that could still create conflict with Trump's team. A public fallout is possible. Both Musk and Trump react strongly to criticism, and if their relationship breaks down, it could become very public. They could also try to redefine their working relationship with clearer limits, but that would require compromise, something neither has shown much willingness to do. Their alliance highlights a bigger issue: the growing influence of wealthy individuals on government. When donors like Musk contribute hundreds of millions to political campaigns, they often expect influence in return. This can blur the line between public service and private interests. Trump's economic policies, especially tariffs, have caused uncertainty at home and concern abroad. Foreign governments are responding by moving away from U.S. markets and the dollar. Domestically, the administration's disaster relief decisions, such as denying help to certain states, suggest political loyalty matters more than need. As Musk's formal role ends, both he and Trump must decide whether to keep working together or split. Their choice will affect not just their own futures, but how private wealth and political power continue to shape U.S. policy. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next.